It's 6 p.m. on Friday here in Korea. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Hwang Jae. And these are the top stories we're following at this hour. Celebrations took place all across the country today on the eve of the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan's colonial rule. North Korea denies South Korea's accusation that the regime was behind the landmine explosion in the demilitarized zone. Plus, Samsung takes aim at Apple in the Big Apple. The Korean tech giant plays to its strengths, unveiling larger screens on the newest additions to its smartphone lineup. It's the eve of the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan's colonial rule, and with the government designating today a temporary holiday, the mood seemed even more festive than in previous years. Events celebrating the day took place all across the country, with many coastal areas packed with vacationers enjoying their three-day holiday. Haeundae Beach in the port city of Busan reported up to 400,000 visitors. The boost in domestic travel comes on the back of the government's move to allow drivers to travel on expressways free of charge. A special concert to commemorate the anniversary will also take place at Seoul Plaza in the center of the capital from 7:30 p.m. local time. The event will be broadcast live on Arirang TV. Now, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has issued a new historical statement to mark the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. The so-called Abes statement was endorsed by his cabinet at an extra session. The Japanese leader is currently holding a press conference at his office where he is to read the statement and give additional comments about the background of the statement. The most controversial issue has been whether Abe will include a clear apology and repentance for Japan's colonial rule and wartime aggression, as was done previously by his predecessors. A 1995 statement by then Prime Minister Tomiichi Murayama and a 2005 statement by Junichiro Koizumi both contain the phrase heartfelt apology. We will have more updates on the statement in our later newscasts. North Korea has denied any involvement in last week's landmine explosions in the demilitarized zone that severely injured 2 South Korean soldiers. The North's National Defense Commission said it's nonsense for it to bury landmines on the southern side of the border. The response comes 10 days after the attack and 4 days after Seoul claimed Pyongyang was responsible. The North also said it would have used larger weapons for military purposes, not 3 mines, and demanded the South provide evidence if it's going to blame them. Seoul's Joint Chief of Staff said Pyongyang will pay a hefty price for the attack. Starting tomorrow, North Korea will be in its own time zone dubbed Pyongyang time. Last week, the regime's state-run Korean Central News Agency said North Korea will set its clocks back 30 minutes on August 15th to mark Korea's liberation from Japan. The change will reset North Korean clocks to the time kept prior to Japanese colonization. North Korea is currently in the same time zone as South Korea and Japan. Seoul has expressed concern that the move could cause inconveniences at the jointly run Kaesong Industrial Complex and said today that South Korean workers will stick to the current time zone when commuting to North next week. On the eve of the Liberation Day, the leaders of Korea's main rival parties spent their day attending various events commemorating the significance of the occasion. Our Park Ji-won brings us this report.
Ruling Saenuri Party leader Kim Moo-sung began Friday by paying his respects at the tomb of Kim Gu, a visionary leader of Korea's independence movement who served as the 6th and final president of the interim government during the colonial rule of Japan, known as the Provisional Government of the Republic of Korea. He also visited the Seodaemun Prison History Hall, where independence activists were jailed and killed. Today it is considered symbolic of the Korean people's suffering and pain during the 36 years of oppression from Japan. Meanwhile, the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy's floor leader Lee Jong-gar participated in the closing ceremony of a bicycle pilgrimage, a 540-kilometer journey across the country lasting 6 days. The ceremony was held at Imjingat, located a mere 7 kilometers south of the military demarcation line separating the two Koreas. These set the pilgrimage, which included stops at significant sites of past independence movements against Japan, was a tribute to the invincible souls of the independence activists. He added that he believes true liberation can only be realized after unification, the most important remaining task for the current generation. The opposition floor leader once again stressed that this event could provide a chance to reflect on reconciliations between the two Koreas, as well as the peace and stability of East Asia. Park Ji-won, Arirang News, Paju.
From aid recipient to donor and now Asia's fourth largest economy, Korea has racked up some unbelievable records on the way to achieving its current stature in the global economy. For more on how the Korean economy has evolved in terms of statistics, Song Ji-sun reports.
Korea's remarkable post-war economic growth is often referred to as the miracle on the Han River for its rapid industrialization, technological achievements, and urbanization. Now, GDP has surged 31,000 times since 1953, from $41 million that year to $1.4 trillion in 2014. And today, Korea is the 13th largest economy in the world in terms of purchasing power. The country's gross national income per capita jumped to 28,000 US dollars last year from just $67 per person in the same period. Now, all of this has been made possible by Korea's robust export growth. Korea is currently the world's sixth largest exporter, with over $573 billion last year from $25 million in 1956. The country has also grown in size, with the population more than doubling since independence from Japan. Now, half the population lives in the metropolitan areas, with 10 million in Seoul. With the rapid development of the health and welfare systems, Korea's life expectancy has risen from 62 to 82. But questions remain about whether quality of life has improved alongside the country's rapid economic growth. And several indicators reveal a darker side of the Korean society. Now, for example, the suicide rate soared to 28 per 100,000 people in 2013 from 8 in 1983. Now, that's the highest among the OECD member countries. The income gap is also rising by the decade, meaning the country will also have to act soon to address the disparity. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
And you might want to check out this movie about the men and women who fought and died while liberating Korea. Our Kim Ji-yeon reports.
Set during Japan's colonial rule of Korea, Assassination is about a group of Korean independence fighters who plot against two key figures in the ruling class, a Japanese governor and a Korean collaborator. More than 9 million local viewers have seen the film since it opened late last month. The timing of its release in the run-up to the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan's colonial rule on Saturday may have helped generate some extra buzz. But for some, the director is also a draw. The film is the latest by Choi Dong-hoon, who last dominated box offices with his mega hit Abes. Choi says he was determined to make this film, even though people advise him against it.
But I really wanted to make this movie so that viewers can understand the reality of what people during that period were confronting.
The story, set in 1930, shows the harsh reality of life in Korea under Japanese colonial rule. To be fair, critics say it's difficult for a period film set during the colonial era to garner mass appeal.
When there's too much focus on historical events, the plot can be difficult to follow. If the events aren't portrayed correctly, the film may be seen as nothing more than shallow entertainment. So for producers, movies about Japanese colonization aren't easy.
Another challenge for Choi was the cost. Despite the box office numbers, the movie isn't expected to generate a huge profit. With a production budget of nearly 16 million US dollars, it needed 7 million viewers to just break even.
I enjoyed the movie. I laughed at some parts and was moved by others.
If it does reach the 10 million mark, Assassination will become the 12th Korean movie to do so, along with Thieves. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now shifting gears, China is taking stock after this week's massive explosion in Tianjin that killed at least 50 people and injured several hundred others, with the aftermath of blast looking akin to something you might see in a Hollywood blockbuster. Companies with operations there, like Automakers are expected to suffer immense financial losses. Our Kim Min-ji reports.
Korea's largest automaker, Hyundai Motor, is estimated to have suffered nearly $140 million in damages as a result of the explosions at the Chinese port of Tianjin. According to industry sources, Hyundai had roughly 4,000 cars near the area, the majority of which were luxury sedan models like the Genesis and Equus. Most Hyundai vehicles to be sold in China are produced locally, but premium models are still exported from Korea. A company official said it will take time to determine the extent of the damages, but that insurance coverage should help reduce any significant losses. French carmaker Renault had about 1,500 cars damaged, which is expected to result in losses of over $33 million based on the price of its cheapest model sold in China. Renault said the vehicles were in a warehouse which caught fire and was severely damaged. Nearly 3,000 Volkswagens were also damaged in the explosions. In a statement, the German carmaker said it did not have an official tally of how many vehicles were destroyed yet, adding that it will make deliveries via ports in Shanghai and Guangzhou in the meantime. While investigations are underway to determine the exact cause and extent of the losses, officials say they expect it to take a considerable amount of time. The explosion happened at a company warehouse late Wednesday in Tianjin. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Samsung Electronics has unveiled 2 new high-end smartphones at a glitzy press event in New York City. The sooner than expected launch is in line with the Korean company's efforts to peg back its arch-rival Apple in the North American market. Son Jung-in has more.
The co-CEO of Samsung Electronics took to the stage to showcase the brand new Galaxy Note 5 and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus at the company's Unpacked event in New York City on Thursday.
The Note didn't just succeed, it created a category.
Thinner and slimmer than its predecessor, the Galaxy Note 5 allows users to take notes on their devices even when the display is off to save ideas that just popped into their heads. As for the bigger version of the curved smartphone, the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, it comes with a feature in which users can add favorite icons on the Edge display to get faster and easier access.
And I think, yes, with these new designs from Samsung, these are absolutely fantastic new smartphones that absolutely beat Apple in almost every factor right now.
Topping off an exciting day for the company, Samsung also launched its mobile payment system, Samsung Pay, pre-installed in the 2 new phablets and the ones released in April. The service will be available in Korea from August 20th and from September 28th in the United States. Industry experts say Samsung's earlier release and change in location of the showcase comes as Apple is set to launch its new iPhone models next month. Samsung Electronics remains the leader in the global smartphone market, but the company's earnings have been eroded by the rise of Chinese firms and Apple's latest iPhones. The Galaxy Note 5 and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus will officially go on sale next Friday in the United States and Canada and around the world from later this month. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
The older brother of Samsung Group chairman Lee Gun-hee has died after a 3-year-long battle with cancer. Lee Meng-hee died earlier this morning at a hospital in Beijing. The 84-year-old was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2012 and moved to Japan to undergo a procedure to remove a third of his lung. Later, the cancer spread to other parts of his body. He was in China to receive radiation treatment. A funeral date has yet to be set. The Korea Grand Sale officially opened on Friday. The Korean government hopes that the country's biggest sale event will help revitalize tourism to boost the MERS-hit economy. Our Shin Se-min reports.
This year's 79-day Korea Grand Sale is taking place earlier than usual. The Korean government has decided to hold this year's sale event a couple of months earlier than the usual sale period to help revitalize the nation's tourism industry, still reeling from the MERS outbreak.
Now is the golden time for the industry to recover from the effects of the MERS outbreak.
This year's event, with its theme of magical moments in Korea, is the largest to date, with some 30,000 businesses, including department stores, airlines, hotels, performance venues, and transportation departments scheduled to take part. The grand sale event will give tourists access to discounts of up to 50 to 80% on selected items. The event, which runs until the end of October, will also provide discounts on transportation, free Wi-Fi modem rentals, and translation services, in addition to general tourism information. The organizing committee Visit Korea says that participating firms generated $119 million worth of sales in 2014, a 12-fold increase from its inaugural event held in 2011. Korea's tourism ministry also says it plans to supplement the sales event by promoting Korea's cultural aspects through various promotions, including Hallyu content and traditional cultural events. While hopes are high that the event will affect more tourists, concerns linger over the possibility that the recent devaluation of China's currency will discourage Chinese tourists from visiting due to higher costs. 신세민, 아리랑 뉴스.
And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Be sure to tune in for more updates at 10 p.m. Korea time. Goodbye for now.